All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Asian session. I'm your host for tonight's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're happy and grateful for all of you being here with us this evening as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes. Let's make sure that we participate and engage. So let's get started. Drop me a one in the chat if you're all ready to go. My apologies, I had a few technical difficulties, so that's why we're getting started a little bit late. I think I'm all good now. I see all the ones coming in. All right, I appreciate it. So let's get right to it. Let's see. We want to go to trading economics first. And we're going to come right into the news today. Right, so we were going back and forth about, as a matter of fact, the Bank of Canada. We know 10 a.m. was going to be pretty important for us today as we were waiting on the cash rate decision and the statement. So the Bank of Canada unexpectedly raised the target for its overnight rate by 25 basis points to 4.75. June 2023, right? Today, after pausing the tightening campaign in the previous two meetings, while markets were anticipating interest rates would be left on hold. Okay, so borrowing costs are now at high levels not seen in 22 years as policymakers consider monetary policy was not sufficiently restrictive to bring supply and demand back into balance and return inflation sustainably to the 2% target. Concerns of increase that inflation could get stuck materially above the 2% target as annual CPI rose to 4.4% in April, the first increase in 10 months. The three-month measures of core inflation have been running in the 3.5 to 4% range for several months, and excess demand is persisting. The central bank will continue to assess the dynamics of core inflation and the outlook for CPI inflation. It remains resolute in the commitment to restoring price stability for Canadians. So that was straight from the Bank of Canada. So we knew there was a lot of back and forth. We had just mentioned this morning that there was a Bloomberg report saying that they were going to raise rates, even though you see the forecast here on Forex Factory was for them to hold. Okay. The expectation was to hold at 4.5%. But they went to 4.75, okay, for the Bank of Canada. So we just saw that happen with the Reserve Bank of Australia. Now the Bank of Canada has followed suit. So that's why we always say, hey, you have to be patient in the market, and fundamentals do matter because we saw the reaction. Now, the question becomes, does that momentum for the bulls sustain itself when it comes to the Canadian dollar? All right, so we know it's not only monetary policy with Canada, we know that there's also commodity currency as well. So we want to watch the oil prices, but we did see the Canadian dollar get a boost today as a result of the rate statement. Any questions regarding what happened with that today? Nope. All right, pretty clear, right? These things are important. Hold on one second. Ryan, good evening, sir.
Good evening, bro. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Glad to be here. So Ryan, everybody sent me like 3 articles that pretty much summed up the fact that nobody knows what's going on.
Nobody.
So what's this article? Treasury Secretary Yellen says she wouldn't be surprised to see more bank consolidation. JB Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon tells lawmakers to get rid of the debt ceiling. What is this? U.S. $1 trillion borrowing spree could take banks under renewed pressure. It's all over the place. So I say that to say we want to make sure that we play real close attention to our technical levels and where we are at our sweet spots. Make sure we're trading our sweet spots. Be patient. Don't rush into positions. Are you always going to be right? No. But you don't want to get into any type of necessary setups because the market is a little bit log jammed right now with a lot of the data that's coming out. The Reserve Bank of Australia, that was seen as a surprise. What's going on with the Bank of Canada, that was seen as a surprise, especially since in some areas, like you see things coming down. We saw Australian GDP numbers come out and it continues to, it's a slowdown, right? So what was that, that article? They switched it already. I defined it, but right, they're seeing slower growth out of Australia. They hike rates, right? Because everybody's worried about inflation. So you get mixed data. We saw the US job numbers come out, non-farm came out above expectations. We saw the employment rate and the wage rate go down. So you got a lot of mixed data right now. Eventually, it'll straighten itself out. US 10-year yield approaches 3.8%. So the 10-year Treasury note rose past 3.75, 3.5% level, approaching over 2-month high of 3.8% touched in May 26. So, you know, we see May 26 has concerns that inflation is stickier than expected, strengthen expectations that the Federal Reserve will deliver another rate hike. We were just talking about a pause 48 hours ago. So there's a lot of back and forth. Lot of back and forth. So let's make sure that we be patient. If the setups aren't there, they're not there. Use additional confirmation. All right, Ryan. With anything that you read, you sent me this, but I know you're always on the case. So, anything else in that regard?
So that last article about the 1.1 trillion borrowing spree, they talked about that causing the bond yields to go up, and that could ultimately cause additional issues for the banks.
Yep.
So that kind of plays into this this article a little bit.
Yeah, the regional banks per se, right?
It's a smaller banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, that's where we are. So we go over, first of all, let me go to Forex Factory. We've got tomorrow, we've got Swiss National Bank Chairman Jordan speaks. Right, that'd be interesting. Unemployment claims for the United States. We're going to continue to look at that number, especially coming off the non-farm payroll data. And then on Friday, we've got the unemployment numbers and coming out for Canada. So a few important situations coming out. Take a look at this DXY. And we can see where the dollar is trying to work its way back to that level, maybe topping out again. But we'll see with the bond, what's going on with the bond yields, what happens with this dollar as we look to close out the week. But that's where we are. So we saw the case for it to move down again so far this week, but still kind of within that same range. Right? You see it here, and it's just kind of just sitting there overall on the daily. Pull this out, sitting at that level in that zone that we talked about over the weekend. Right? It's kind of on that pause. Right? And sometimes for the market, especially for your dollar crosses, that can make things tough to trade, right? So you got a lot of things moving sideways right now, but it's all good because as traders, our first job is to preserve capital at all costs, right? So we get paid to wait. So that's what we need to do. So I'm gonna go through some setups tonight. This session, maybe the last hour, since we got started a little late, but there's not much because we've got a lot of setups that are finishing out, like those Euro cash to the downside, Euro Aussie to the downside. They're making good traction to the downside to key levels of support, and then eventually that 382. But there's a few things out here. So let's move on, take a look at this, some of these flows. I want to take a quick look at this Aussie CAD and the reaction that we got today. Now we know they've both hiked rates. So we're going to see who's going to win out. This was a huge reaction that came off, but look where it came off at. It came off in this 80-20 zone on this sub and it pushed price right back down, right, to a key level, to a key sweet spot. So how do you filter this? Well, hold on one second, everybody. You say, okay, well, that was a huge reaction, right, to the downside. Nice size candle to the Canadian dollar rate hikes. But we know we just had the same thing happen in Australia. So how do you filter this? Well, if I'm a bear on the Aussie CAD, and based on my trade plan, I like to get short, for example, at a 61.8 and a 786. And I'm trading with the trend. So if I say, hey, my narrative is bearish on the Aussie and I want to get short, am I short on this yet? Am I trading this yet based on my trade rules? Yes or no?
No.
No, right? So a lot of times this can get confused. Like, man, I got a sub-fit running up to the upside. So, you know, what I do? Well, it becomes simple, right? With your trade plan. Well, if I'm looking to get short and my idea is trading with the trend, I'm not in my sweet spot yet. So guess what? This correction, I want to see one more push to the upside if I want to follow a bearish narrative. So in other words, what I'm saying is this is just a short-term correction long for right now. But in order for me to trade this short, I want to see this trade push up into my zone. And then I'll look to get short. If it gets short from here on out, guess what? Then he's not in that trade short. It is what it is. It didn't hit my zone. Okay, if I'm playing off this 4 hour. So that's the thought process. So that's how you can create filters, you know, when you get into these situations. So with that being said, if I think there's a higher correction and I'm willing to think counter trend, then I may say this may be a worthwhile shot. Is I get a good confirmation here and a reaction off this level. It's in my sweet spot. Risk to reward on that sub fib. I'll buy that push. I'll buy that push, right? So you have to make that decision. We got the strong move down, and then we stalled in the buy zone on this sub fib. So if I'm willing to play the counter narrative, this is my sweet spot on this sub fib, but I'm looking for one more push, at least to that D extension, right? You can play that whether it's on your 4 hour, your 1 hour, your 15 to say, you know what? I think I got one more push, one more wave out of this thing potentially, because we know how this has gone so far. That was successful. Now we're right back in the zone. Do I want to continue to ride this wave? And the long-term perspective in the back of my head too, that man, you know, we never got that 382. We might not, but this is kind of has me thinking maybe we get a further upside push, right? So this may be a setup that you may be willing to entertain, right? So come here, this, if that's what we're liking to see, and you say, you know what, I've got there, boom, I'm in the zone, and trade set up here. I'm thinking, okay, to this D extension, if we can get one more drop, one more wave to the upside, like so, like that. Because if I want to get short with the trend, needed to go in this direction. So it's just a matter of, do I want to try to make that play, right? We got it to connect once, twice. Can we get it to connect again? Right? Can I catch some pips again? That's a potential scenario there, right? For the long. So where that is now, okay, you say it's about 54 pips. Right? We'll call it minus 55. That. And there for 118. See if we can get one more drive on it. We shall see. Okay. Let's see who's got the most power. The Aussie or the CAD. All right. They both just raised rates by 25 basis points unexpectedly. Who's gonna win that one? I don't know. We'll see. But that's the Aussie CAD. Any questions?
Oh,
All right. Cool. Aussie Swiss. We just posted this one. All right. This is just following the price action, following the wave. Let me see. So which one did I just post there? Well, Aussie NZD, maybe. I think it was. Let's see. That's Aussie NZD. Sorry about that. So Aussie Swissy. Want to take a look at this one? Pay attention to this moving through the range. All right, have my pairs mixed up. But this is the one that we said was in the range bound and we needed price to break out. So it moved from the bottom to the top of the range. And you can see, right? It's pushing through. So we broke it through that 60.46 level. So now it's just a matter of, can we get price to make a correction and then continue, right? So here's the beautiful move right out of that range, right? Just like we drew it up. Push bullish, move through the top. Now, maybe we get it, an opportunity on this wave here, a pullback and a continuation, but maybe we don't. Maybe it stays shallow and pushes to that extension, but that's okay because then we're in the clear, right? So if this setup here on this fib doesn't give us an opportunity, right, to pull back and to get long with that, then maybe it finishes out. Okay. Makes his run, finishes out, and then we catch it in the fib. And a new opportunity outside that consolidation that it just broke. Right. So then it becomes like that. Okay. So just continue to watch that one as it's moving up. Right. We had it pegged to do that. That's what it did. It's just a matter of whether or not it's going to give us an opportunity to get involved with it. But just continue to sit patient on the Aussie Swissy. All right. And the just a fast look at the Aussie yen. That one hit the extension today. So like I said, a lot of these are flowing through and hitting targets, right? So we came in, you can see that this fib on the 4 is no longer highlighted, okay? So out of that support level 89.78, that 61.8 area, we caught that D extension, all right? Over 400 pips. So like we say, we play our zones. We don't know what the price action pattern is going to look like for it to get there, right? I mean, outside of the crown, but look at what it did, right? It moved all over the place, but look where it's finishing out, right? I think that's fascinating still after all these years, right? How that Fibonacci sequence plays out. So that one is a done deal. On the 1, you can see exactly where we are. We tagged that extension. We just missed the 382 there. But I'm willing to see what happens if it pushes up higher in the zone. I can take this out now that extension's hit. So we tapped this zone once and it's moving sideways. We'll see what happens there. I think I'm more interested in seeing if we get a correction and then look to get long on that Aussie yen. No monetary policy change with the yen. We just got a surprise rate hike with the Reserve Bank of Australia. So I would love to get a low price on that Aussie yen to get long on that. So that's that on the Aussie yen. This Aussie NZD. This is the one just posted here. So we see you see the results of strong fundamental events happening. Right? We're moving bullish. So it's trying to get to this 110.86 target. So the question becomes, yes, it has a lot of momentum, but do we correct before we get to 110.86? Right? That's where those 80-20s and things like that come into play. Do we correct and then continue that long play or whatnot? But you guys can see, like, this is clean, right? That is clean how that broke out. We always say we need a catalyst. So the question is, do we get, okay, here's that 110.86, okay? Do we get price to correct, okay, in this 80-20 zone, or do we move a little higher to retest that 110.86? That's prior to the D extension, so that would still be in play to see if we can get the correction on that. It's moved up pretty strong, right? It's moved up pretty strong off that trend line break. So now let's see what happens with it. Be patient, but that's in our zone that we like to play the counter. If you're not interested in that, you're bullish, wait for a low price on that fib, and then look to get long. Any questions on the Aussie NZD?
No.
No, sir.
All right. I'm trying to find the setups that are pretty clear cut amidst all of the mess. So I want to take a look at this pound Swissy. Right. And Ryan, you talked about this for earlier today, right? Or was it the pound NZD? They're trying to
Looked
get
at
the
both of them
pullback
this
on.
morning.
Looked at both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So take a quick look at it. All right. 4. Almost 4. This is moving up. Right. This is moving up out of the zone. We just about got a 50%. I'm overall bullish on the pound moves, but this is what caught my attention here. Is we got this break above this cloud. Right. And look at that pullback that we got. Right. So this is one to watch out for, especially as this approaches the buy zone again. You see how it rejected this cloud already. Our lagging span is above the cloud. Everything's starting to move above that cloud. Overall bias on the pound is bullish. We've got, again, it'd be interesting to see what sometimes the Swiss National Bank, they can play things kind of close to the vest at times. So it'll be interesting to see what Chairman Jordan has to say tomorrow from the Swiss National Bank. But this is one that I'm liking to the upside. So it looks like some things are lining up. Now the question is, we already got one test of the cloud and it held, and it's moving sideways in the Asian session. Sometimes it's kind of hard to judge the session, but eventually, especially if we get a pullback and we hold above that cloud, they get long, right? So we've already, if you were just playing the zone, you've already had a nice swing, right, out of the zone, 83 pips out of the zone. So definitely could see a pullback occurring, but I'm definitely bullish on this pound Swiss. Ryan, what are you thinking on that? Same thing from this morning?
Yeah, so
And,
we did get that cloud break that we talked about this morning. I would love a little bit of a deeper pullback because I didn't take it right off the break, so I'm not in it at the moment. But I would like a nice pullback to get an opportunity to enter. But because of that, I'm bullish as well.
Yeah, for sure. So it's hard for me to go because I know we saw some corrections with the pound pairs, up against those commodities, but I'm liking this long right now. So definitely see if you catch a pullback on that, get involved on that. So that's the pound Swiss. Could that pin bar rejected be part of the confluence? Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. It's nice. It rejected nicely. Now we moved into the session. So one of the things that we had to, what time was that? At 1700. So sometimes you have to look at it depending on your broker. Like, was that a dump off before market close? But technically, when you look at a candlestick pattern like that's you could definitely use that as confidence. But sometimes when it's time to get closed and things get changed over, you see those type of candles occur. You know, so you just have to watch what time it is as well when that happens. But regardless, it rejected. You know, we're moving sideways right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when London opens, Frankfurt, and the rest of you know, the UK opens up in the morning and into the New York session and see how this pair reacts. Yep, great observation. All right, so that's the pound Swiss. I want to take a look at this this Euro NZD. It is moving.
Read my mind.
Yeah, right. Because it is moving. It's moving pretty nice. It's moving pretty nice. So I definitely like the way this is going. So here is the larger setup here, and I've got that sub fit running. But over the large setup, this has been a nice play. It's moved up quite a ways, and it's starting to try to gain some momentum again. So I'm definitely long. And then when you come down here to this 1 hour, it's giving us a nice swing. Right? It's giving us a nice swing. So it held, it didn't take out the A, it reversed. Right? So we got an A6 retracement on a 1 hour fib. We're looking at a 1.18 extension. So hey, if you're thinking about it, maybe we catch that a correction and a continuation. But as of right now, when I look at the technical setups, but then I also always think fundamentally, what reason do I have to be bearish on this against the New Zealand dollar? And I don't have a reason. I don't have a reason. Yes, it's corrections, of course. Right? That's how the market moves. We all understand that now. But overall, I don't really have a reason to be bearish. So I'm liking this move until the market, you know, tells me I'm wrong. So we got this break above the cloud here. Okay. So we're breaking. We got our Tinkerson and our Keejenson. Okay. We've got, you see our lagging span starting to creep. So what we're looking for is, hey, maybe we get this pullback. We know that can act as support. First line of defense here. Your Tinkerson, your Keejenson, then your cloud. Hold on 1 second, everyone. All right. So that's where we are there, but we got a nice break above the cloud. Right. You long on this? Did you take the long or you waiting on pullback?
So long term, I've been looking at this off the weekly, and
Okay.
there's a potential crown on the weekly. So if price stays below 178.349, I'll stay short. I got a short position in.
Oh, you're staying short.
Rid of 80-20 off the
Okay.
daily.
Okay.
My stop is in profit, but if we break 178, 349, that level you got right there. You got 388.
Okay.
If we stay below that, I'll continue staying short. But if we get back to that level and break above, then I'll get stopped out.
So you're still riding that 80-20.
Yeah. Like I said, off the weekly, I got a potential crown.
Okay.
So I know we got mixed data and more bearish on the New Zealand, but yeah, I'm playing off a higher time frame on that one.
Yeah. Well, you're still profitable on that 80-20.
Yeah. And
so I just played the swing.
I had two positions on, so I closed one. I got a second one open. So.
Okay. All right. So let's see how it plays out. Yeah. Either way, you can make money. So this is a beautiful A. I remember that, right? It's just when I got down in that zone, I was through with it. I didn't continue to take it off the higher time frame. So all right. So let's see. Right? I mean, you could get a further correction off this fib too. So we'll see what happens on that. Good stuff. Back and forth. Somebody's buying, somebody's selling. All right. So that's the Euro NZD. Change. You wait 30 minutes after, to see what happens. Oh yeah, spreads and everything get crazy, especially if you're trading on the lower time frame. Looks wild. So that was the Euro NZD. I want to check this. I covered that one. I want to look at on this NZD CAD after the rate decision, because I know that's one that we've had marked up for quite some time. Wait to see if we can get a reaction out of the zone. So let's see what price got pushed down to. So if we look at the 4 on this, we can see where it's at. Okay, we didn't hold that level. We broke that 8106 level that we were talking about. Okay, so be patient. Look to see, right, if you can get some higher highs and higher lows, especially if we get a break back above that 8106. If not, if it holds, that level holds, then we probably could continue down. But our stochastic, the momentum to be slowing to that downside. So let's see what happens. I thought one thing that I thought, Ryan, was with the decision after that Bloomberg report, I thought that was just going to accelerate against the New Zealand dollar, but it didn't.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
Yep. It didn't. It didn't. Held up better than I thought it was. So now I'm interested to see, what happens with the price action on this pair if it can get back above that 8106 level.
Yeah.
So just continue to be patient with that. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Another piece on that. That push down. We talked about this the other day, I think. On the 1 hour, that push down hit the 1 hour de-extension.
Okay. Yep, I thought I had that. 6 days of these charts. There we go. Yep, it completed it, eh?
Yeah.
That's below it. So it's in the zone. So maybe we'll get that reaction. Things are starting to line up. That's a big one. I like big moves, so I would be super happy if that reacted and gave us that pullback.
Yeah, for sure.
Before hitting that de-extension. So let's see. We know it can move. It'll be interesting. It always is. So that's that. On the NZD CAD, got a new AB boundary on the 1, like Ryan is saying. And all right, we're still in that 80-20 zone. We know it's bearish, right? We know this. Like the technicals tell us this. But we always know at some point price likes to correct. And that's where that counter trend narrative comes into. Okay? If you're short, stay short. Just wait for the pullback and the continuation down. But that is super bearish. Right? No doubt about it. Right? That's bearish. We're just looking for a correction plan on that. Okay. That's the NZD CAD. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. This is why we wait. We look for those big moves. That one move, right, can set you up. Right? It's hard for folks to get 260 pips in a month. That's one setup. So that's why we wait. That's why we wait. That's the NZD CAD. I had the NZD Swiss wrote down because I think we went over it, so I want to take a look at it here to see what's going on with it. Still kind of doing the dance. This one may take a while. Yep. So it's trying to climb. I want to see it. So it respected, right? It respected. Now we're saying coming out of the weekend on the ritual, watch the 4 hour stochastic. Yeah, see how it's made its way back down to the buy zone now. So what I'm looking for is for this to make a move, right? See here in the zone, I want to see this 80-20 swing. And you can see how it's kind of you see how it stalled and it broke out. Now it's stalling. I need to see a breakout. That's what I want to see. So this one is still in play. on this NZD switch to this 382. We just want to see it to start to pick up some momentum. So that's like an 80 pip move back to the 382 there. So it gave us what we wanted. We got that 4 hour stochastic back in the buy zone without it hitting any type of extension. So it's still holding tight. We just want to see if it wants to break out to the upside. So that's another 80-20 that's still in play there. Any questions on the NZD switching?
No.
All right. So another one we want to take a look at is this dollar yen. Okay, we know what the yen's about. The question is whether or not the Fed's going to raise that rate. And we can see as a result, it's just doing its thing. It's just doing its thing. But I wanted to bring it up because we're still in our 80-20 zone on that 4. So we're still moving sideways. So that's still a setup that's on my radar. All right, that's a simple one. Haven't hit the D extension yet. Haven't gotten a 382 after shallow retracement. It's moving sideways. All right, so again, like we always say, we need a catalyst. All right. So maybe that's we've got employment data, unemployment data. What is it tomorrow? Yep. Unemployment claims. Maybe we get some price action movement off of that. What is the rate statement? When do we see that? Right? Is that next week on the 14th? Yeah.
Yep, next week.
Yeah. So we've got all types of stuff with this. So this is gonna matter next week with these dollar crossings. We've got PPI coming out. We've got we got economic projections for the FOMC, and we got the statement in the funds rate, and we got the press conference afterwards at 2:30. So we should see some price action and some movement there. But this one will be interesting tomorrow with the unemployment claims because it'll be a lot. Your investors are going to have their eyes on that because we know that employment has been sticky. When it comes to inflation, we have seen coming out of non-farm payroll that those numbers have moved to the downside a bit. So this one will be important tomorrow at 8:30 to see if that trend is continuing, because people are going to read into that and try to determine what they think the Fed is going to do as a result. So let's see what happens. But that UJ is still just hovering, moving sideways, right? Still playable because it's in our zone. And that's that on the dollar yen. I want to take a look at this UCAD because we know it's moving to the downside. I mean, not the UCAD, but the EuroCAD. We know it's moving to the downside, headed towards that 382. But just keep an eye on this weekly support that is coming into. Right, so we got that trend line. 1, 2. This will be 3 times at this level, and our stochastic is back from a daily perspective, back in the buy zone. Okay, so let's see what happens. Pay close attention here as we reach this 142.35 level. So put that on your radar for sometime in the near future. Here we are on the forward. This EuroCAD is just continuing to get downside pressure, just shy of hitting that the extension. All right, I got it just before it, but you can see it, right? We stayed below this 143.82 level. We have not gotten a trend line break on that. All right, so we're still pushing. There's that 382 target. So there's the overall picture. Long term here, squeeze the chart down. All right. So we're trying to progress towards that 382, but we've got a little traffic here at that 142.35. There's an extension in that zone. This is going to be interesting. So just continue to keep an eye on that EuroCAD as we approach major support. All right. And then my last one was this. Take a look at this. This Euro JPY. Yeah. Because this is quite interesting. We double bottomed here. Okay. Now we've broken, we're sitting above this 149.73 level. So what I'm trying to figure out is this just going to continue? Look at where our stochastic is on the one. We've already made a major swing from the daily. So I'm starting to think, continue to move bullish right now to this 150.104, right? Making its way. They know it's sideways, but again, you know, I'm thinking, you know, what in regards to directional bias and the fundamentals, like what besides a major risk off scenario, what could possibly the drive to think that this is not going to continue long, right, to the upside? Just focusing in right here on this part. Here it is on the 4. So I am looking to continue bullish on this. This is the 1. Okay. So we see how that's sitting at this 382. But again, right, it's those things that we talk about in regards to the certain, you know, caveats that you can have in your trade plan in those scenarios. And we talk about, you know, double bottoms and price action patterns at these higher fib levels. But we've seen this over and over again where we've got a clean double bottom at a 382 and it's pushing long. Okay. And oftentimes it continues to push long. See, it's a 382, but you can see that that's a monthly support level and it's reactive. We broke above 149.73. So what I'm saying is this is the leg right here that I'm focusing on, right? That's a huge bullish engulfing candle. Again, right? So it's definitely pushing long. So what I'm trying to do is figure out if I'm willing to make that play. You come down, this is the 5-minute or your 15-minute. Can I get a low price, right? Either on my 5-minute to get long, 15-minute to get long, to continue to stay above that weekly level that it just broke. Everybody follow me on that? Drop me a 2 in the chat. Right? Have to respect those price action patterns until they tell you that you're wrong. But so often, right? Man, that's clean double bottom off monthly support. Yes, it's a 382, but look at the acceleration. Consider the currency pair. It's the euro yen, you know, above 149.73. Can we get price to continue? It's just a matter of can I catch a wave to take a shot at it at this point, right? It didn't catch it clean off the original setup, that double bottom. It's accelerated, gone long. Can we get a correction and a continuation? Right? Can we get it to come into our sweet spot? So that way I feel comfortable with taking a shot. The risk to reward ratio is there. If I lose it, it's all good. Right? Follow the rules, let the trade pull back, then took the shot, put the stop below it. That's that. So that's what I'm thinking about on the euro yen. We'll see how that continues to play out. And that's all I have for tonight, everybody. Waiting on the rest of these plays to finish out, which a lot of them are starting to coming out of May. Right now we're at the beginning of June and starting to look and identify new opportunities. Ryan, anything that you're looking at outside of what we covered and what you covered this morning?
No, I believe that was it. Euro yen was the last one that was on my. Actually, no, the cat yen.
Okay.
I'm curious here. No more.
Yeah, continue. That's gonna catch. Yeah, that's gonna catch that TP2, I think, on the daily.
Yeah. And I got a daily resistance level in that zone.
Right here.
Yeah. And on the 4, you got an 80-20. So I'm gonna watch it and see what happens at that 105 level.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
that's the one I'm watching closely there.
All right. Yeah, we'll make sure we post that one. That's nice.
Yeah. And I'm
That's
gonna
nice.
want it be 80-20 as well when it pushes up in that zone.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, the levels prior to that D extension.
Yeah.
Decent. So that's another one setting up.
JC asked what June been last month. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I saw it. And it's the end of the fiscal year. At June 30th, you'd be rolling to another fiscal year. So you may, I have to look up some historical data on that, which is like the second quarter. You may, like when you talk about your multinationals, what you're saying, like with the end of the second quarter and of the fiscal year, you may start to, maybe you get a pop in the dollar, because a lot of times you get repatriation, money being brought back and converted to the United States, on the books with companies. So that's something to think about. I have to look up. Because there's historical trends with that, with well, I say historical trends, but seasonality, um, with currencies as well. So I'm gonna write that down. I'm glad you brought that up. And try to look up some historical data on that in regards to the dollar, the yen, things like that. So because you do see those flows, when you come to month end, quarter end, fiscal year end, you can get that from time to time. So yeah. How do you study that as well? There's different for currency. There's different FX sites and things like that that have like seasonality indicators and things like that. You go back and read past articles, right? So Google some stuff and look it up. But there's like I said, there's seasonality indicators and things that track that as well in regards to what's going on with the markets, what currency could typically be strong in during certain months, certain times of the year. So that's a good thing that you brought that up. So yep, good stuff. Well, that's it for this evening, everybody. Right now, well, we went through quite a few pairs, and we're coming up on the hour. I didn't know if we would get the full hour in the night, but it's quite a few out there. So just waiting. This US the Fed decision is always big, but it'll definitely be big next week with all the mixed data. And especially since you've got the Reserve Bank of Australia and the Bank of Canada that have gone ahead and hiked rates and missed that data, still letting us know that the number one priority, regardless of what the data is saying in a lot of different areas, that inflation, right? They are hell bent on getting back to that 2% target. And it's true, right? Even with the Eurozone seeing some inflationary pressures move down, what the central banks are saying is we're still not where we need to be in regards to that 2 to 3% target. So preferably 2%. So we'll see what happens. So they all tend to follow each other at times. That being said, hey, everybody, have a good night. We'll see you back 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Do we have a question? I'm sorry.
Just real quick. I see it on the video, and I just want to use what you have on screen as an example. So if price was at say price was at the 227 spot, and you wanted to do the counter trend trade, what would you but you wanted to step away? You're not sitting here watching it. What is that called? Is that called a limit that you're setting up a stop limit?
So what you could do is typically I'll put it when I'm limiting, I'll put it in the middle of the zone, right? Because price can react before, like, even though you can't 100% eliminate it, there's times where it's like, man, it just missed my limit by 3 pips and it dropped 240, right? Like, what in the world? So I know that that's a zone, So what I'll do is I'll kind of just plug it in.
Okay.
You know, we always try to stop in the ratios off of the
Mhm.
exact level, but I just usually plug it in, and that'll be a sell limit.
So,
So, mhm,
not
mhm.
uptrend.
Yep. So what'll happen is when you go in and put that sell limit in, you know, it's not going to be a market execution because you're anticipating price to rise to this level,
Mhm.
and then that buying power has reached this limit, right? Sell limit, right? So it's reached this limit, and now it's going to U-turn, right? So this is your desired high price. So you kind of you're just mapping it out ahead of time. You're forecasting it like if price, right? Ryan always talks about keeping it black and white, those if then that if then syntax, right? If prices reaches 105.26, then I'll sell it with an opportunity back to the 382, and I'll put my stop. Some people like tight stops, they're cool with that. But if you're trying to set it and forget it, then we leave it wide, because if price is going to U-turn, it's going to do it prior, right? Prior to, like, as long as it doesn't hit that D extension, we're expecting that price to correct. It's just like when we're trading with the trend, as long as price doesn't take out that A, we expect for it to go our way. It's kind of the same scenario in reverse. Like if that extension is not getting hit, then we're looking for a correction at some,
Okay.
you know, and we're just gonna let price, you know, do its thing, you know. So you're
Yes.
welcome. You're welcome. What'd you say? You broke up a little bit?
No, I said thank you because I was getting stuck. I was I just couldn't get. I was missing something, but you hit it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Just like if you were saying, hey, I'm with the trend,
Mhm.
and you wanted to buy at the 61.8, then you're gonna come in and you're gonna put in a buy limit order. So then when price comes down and it reaches its limit, boom, it's gonna take you in. And it's gonna swing. And we trade small positions on that. You know, maybe you're in at 0.5%. You know, some people trade 1/4%, you know, depending on how large the pair is and how it can move. You know, like your pound pairs and things like that. Because like we say, on these large swings, you can always add to the position later. Like once price gets moving in the direction, in your directional bias, you can always add a position later. You know, like if this U-turns, if this comes in this zone and it hits your limit order and it U-turns, and when it comes down, it's gonna have to break through support. So hey, if it breaks through support and retests that support and holds, hey, I'll add a position, you know, in there, a small position, and then I'll just let it accumulate instead of me, hey, I'm coming in and I'm putting in, you know, 1 mini lot or 2 mini lots, you know, $2 at this level. I'll take 1/4 of that, right? Let the market give me a sign that I'm right, and as it builds momentum in my direction, then I may build my way to $2. By the time it's done, I've got $2 in the market on that setup, but I've compounded it, you know. So that's what we call scaling into the position,
Mhm.
you know, and adding to the trade. So great question.
Thank you so much,
Great
Ben.
question. You're welcome. Anybody else before we wrap it up?
No.
All right. Hey, my man Jeremy just made it official. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.